All right, so now we are stepping up our factoring game and we are going to start factoring trinomials. So remember, trinomials are polynomials that look like this, where they have three separate terms to them. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Right? So three separate terms in each one. That's what we're talking about when we're factoring trinomials. And we want to do this specifically when we have ones. See how all of these problems have x squared to start with, and then they have something with an x, and then they have just a regular number at the end. Okay, those are the specific kind of problem that we're looking at here. Okay, and what we want to do to factor these is we're going to kind of use this little cheat sheet up here. Now, it looks really hard and scary, but it's not that bad. Okay, so basically what we're going to do is we are going to always have a problem that looks like this. And see how this one kind of looks like this? You got your x squared, and then a plus, so your smiley face would be a 5 in this problem. And then it's x plus, and then your 6 would be the number sign in this problem. Okay, so we're going to take a problem that looks like that, and we're going to break it into two sets of parentheses. They're both going to have an x in them, and we need to figure out what these two numbers are. Okay, so to figure out the two numbers that go in those blanks, they have to multiply to whatever this number is, and they need to add to whatever this number is. So I'm going to look for two numbers that will multiply to 6 and add to 5. Okay, and now the signs of your numbers are really important here. Okay, so you got to be really careful about your signs, whether it's positive or negative. Okay, so let's look at this first example here. So we need two numbers that multiply to 6 and add to 5. Okay, so let's think about it. Things that multiply to 6, I'm going to make a list. Well, I've got 1 times 6, and I've got 2 times 3, and that's it. So these are all the things that multiply to 6. Now, which of these will also add to 5? The 2 and the 3. So when I factor this, I'm going to factor it to two sets of parentheses, and it's going to be x in the front of both of them, and one of them is going to be a plus 2, and one of them is going to be a plus 3. And that's it. Okay, so let's look at this next guy over here. So for this guy, I need two numbers that multiply to, be careful here, it's a -8, so it's a -8. So I need two numbers that multiply to -8. And again, be careful, this is a -7. So I need them to add to -7. So two numbers that multiply to -8. Okay, well, what does that mean? So if I think about things that multiply to 8, right? I've got 1 and 8 or 2 and 4, that's it. But if they're going to multiply to -8, that means that one of the two numbers is going to have to be negative. So if I wanted to multiply to -8, then my options are it could be -1 and 8, -2 and 4, or it could be 1 and -8, or 2 and -4. Okay, so then I need a pair of numbers here that are going to add to -7. So, okay, we got opposite signs. Think about your fires and buckets of water. -1 plus 8, so 1 fire, 8 buckets of water. That's going to give me 7, but it's going to be a +7, right? I don't want +7, I want -7. Okay, -2 plus 4, so 2 fires, 4 buckets of water. Nope. 1 and -8. So 1 bucket of water, 8 fires. There we go. That's the pair that I need. So this is going to factor to, again, two sets of parentheses. They're both going to have an x in the front. I'm going to have a +1 because that's a +1. And then since that's a -8, -8. Okay, and that's my factored form. All right, so let's take a look at this guy. So this one, I need two numbers that are going to multiply to 20, and they have to add to -12. Watch that sign again, okay? All right, so I'm going to make a list of all the things that multiply to 20. I got 1 and 20, 2 and 10, 3 doesn't go into 20, but 4 does, 5 times. And the next number I'd try would be 5, but 5's already in my list, so I know I got them all. Okay, and I wanted to add to -12. Now that's a problem because those add to a positive number, those add to a positive number, those add to a positive number. So how can I make a multiplied of 20 but add to a negative? Well, two negative numbers, those will also multiply to a positive, right? So I could also do -1 and -20, or -2 and -10, or -4 and -5. And then, hey, now I've got some numbers that'll add to negatives. So let's see, does that add to -12? 1 fire and 20 more fires? No. 2 fires and 10 more fires? Yeah, that's 12 fires, right? So there's my pair of numbers. So I'm going to factor this, 2 sets of parentheses, x in the front of both, and then I'm going to put a -2 and then a -10. And that's my factored form. All right, last one over here. So this one, I need 2 numbers that multiply to 9 and add to -6. So they're going to multiply to 9. So things that multiply to 9, 1 and 9. 2 doesn't go into 9. 3 goes into 9 3 times. And that's going to be it. Okay, well, are any of those going to add to a -6? No, they're not. But I know that -1 and -9 multiply to +9, and -3 and -3 multiply to -9, or to +9, sorry, right? So then I wanted to add to -6. So 1 fire and 9 more fires, no. 3 fires and 3 more fires, though, that's good. That's -6, right? So I'm going to factor this to x -3, and then x -3 again. Okay, and that's how you're going to factor your trinomials. So again, you always are looking for something that's going to multiply to your last number and add to the middle number. Okay, so that's kind of our factoring trinomials.